As someone who reviews almost exclusively Chinese cars, I often have to break the bad news to our subscribers that the car I'm talking about isn't even going to be available outside of China. But today, I get to do the opposite. This is the Avatr 06, and it absolutely will be sold outside of China, including in markets like Europe and the Middle East.
As of filming, Avatr had yet to announce official pricing for the 06 here in China, only releasing a pre-sale price of $29,600 USD for the base extended range version.
This is now the fourth Avatr that we reviewed here on the channel, and I have to say that I'm impressed how the brand has been able to continue to evolve their design language. If I had to describe this car with a single word, it would be I absolutely love the way it looks from every angle. Now, I know there will be people that disagree with me, as evidenced by the fact that I said more or less the same thing about the 07, the SUV equivalent of this car, and there were people that had a different opinion in the comments section of that video. It's important that you know I am very tolerant of opinions, even if they are very, very wrong. This has the same sinister front-end lighting as every other Avatr model, but I have to say that I like the way that they've kind of refined it, made it a little bit more elegant, particularly the way that they've integrated the headlight unit into this beautiful slash of a DRL right here. This car, at 4.855 meters in length, is actually shorter than many of its competitors, such as the Xiaomi SU7 and Xpeng P7 Plus, which are over 5 meters in length. Perhaps as a result of that, it looks downright compact from the side. I also think that this is justified by the fact that this is a global model for the brand, and so they're thinking that a smaller car might actually fit better into the tighter urban environments of other places, such as Europe. You'll note the distinct lack of rear window on this car. No rear window at all. You have to rely on this camera, which feeds up to the digital rearview mirror in the car. That's actually pretty easy to use. The digital side view mirrors, we're going to get to that in a bit. Those, not so good. I remember talking about the Avatr 1.2 and referring to it as a thick but slick. That Avatr 1.2, think of it as like somebody who's definitely medically overweight, but the way they wear it is really, really good, so you don't notice. This car, I have no such qualms about. I think this just looks straight up fit. The relatively short length that I mentioned earlier is going to result in some sacrifices. For example, rear cargo space is 416 liters. That is noticeably less than the competition that I mentioned before, such as the Xiaomi SU7. Another factor in that is, frankly, the fact that the load floor is very, very high. It's not a very deep load floor this way, and there's really not very much space underneath as well. So, in terms of practicality and storage space, this one doesn't get top scores. The Avatr 06, like many other Avatr models, has electrically opening front doors. If you've already seen our review of the Avatr 07 SUV, then this interior is going to look pretty familiar to you. And if you haven't, what are you even doing? Come on, go watch it. However, there have been some minor improvements, but we'll get to those in a second. First, let's talk about what's the same. For starting with the big central screen and the large, very long screen back here, which acts as both a, added information screen, so to speak, over there in front of the passenger, and of course your instrument cluster. Either side of that long central screen is the aforementioned digital rear view mirror screens. And yes, as I can't have made it any clearer at this point. I do not like this technology. This is the thing where when they started talking about having this in the car industry, I think it was maybe Audi or Lexus that started talking about it first, it seemed like a really cool idea. They certainly look awesome on the outside of the car, but in practice, I really do not like using these things. In addition to the fact that they move your traditional viewpoint from there on the outside of the car to the inside, so you have to completely change the way you drive, they also mean you have to change your focal point, unlike you would on a regular exterior mirror. Now, thankfully, just so we're clear, these are an optional feature on this car. You can get traditional rear view mirrors, and boy, would I recommend them. There has been one very important but very subtle change to the ergonomics of this interior, and it has to do with this button here on the door that opens and closes the doors. In the Avatr 07 and 1.2, that button was a very subtle, honestly very beautiful, single strip of plastic that you could miss very easily, especially if you were driving in the car or riding in the car for the very first time. This now is a much more obvious, much less subtle, rounder, thicker button with a car outline on it. I will say that this is undoubtedly more ergonomic, but stylistically, that's a downgrade. Not every ergonomic issue has been fixed, however. Oh, we meet again. My greatest foe, the squeal. How I loathe you, squeal. How I loathe your unergonomic nature, your difficult to grab shape. This thing is necessitated by the design of this interior, because if you had a circular wheel, you wouldn't be able to see everything that was up on top of your little instrument cluster panel there. But that does not change the fact that I do not like using this thing. The 06 has available fragrance dispenser system. Stuck down here. Let's give it a sniff. Woo! That's a really good one. The front row seats are heated, cooled, and massaging. The rear seats are heated only. Both front row seats are also zero gravity. This car comes standard with a 16-speaker sound system, but you can option a upgraded Meridian sound system with 25 speakers and over 2,000 watts. That's 7.1.4 surround sound audio, and it sounds very, very nice. Another even more important number for you, 9. That's 9 airbags. This car is built to qualify for the 2026 Euro NCAP safety standards. No, fancy electrically opening rear doors on this car. That's reserved for more expensive versions of Avatr models like the 1.1 and the 1.2. This thing's wheelbase of 2.94 meters is, again, a little bit shorter than competition, and you're going to be able to sense that a little bit here in the back seat. I mean, honestly, that much more space. It's hard to tell where it exactly goes, but I've got a decent amount of leg room, as you can see. For reference, as I always say, I'm 5'9" inches, 1.75 meters tall. Overhead space, also pretty decent considering the shape of that roof line. Back here, you have your surround sound speakers. You've also got a folding armrest right here, which is really heavy, by the way. I also would have liked to have seen a little more design on here. This is just kind of extremely blank, though I will say it is pretty soft to lean on. You get a single USB Type-C charging port right there between the seats. Why not 2? Give me 2. Always give me 2. If that 416 liters of space in the back isn't enough, or you need to fit something that's very long, you can fold down these second row seats, in which case you get a total of 1,260 liters of space.
The 06 is available with both extended range and pure EV powertrains, with both versions featuring a single battery pack option. For the pure electric version, that's a 72.88 kilowatt-hour LFP unit with a claimed CLTC range of 650 kilometers for the rear motor models and 600 kilometers for the dual motor. The extended range model is only available with a single rear motor paired to a 31.7 kilowatt-hour LFP pack with a claimed WLTC range of 170 kilometers. Power levels range from 231 kilowatts for the rear motor extended range all the way up to 440 kilowatts for a dual motor pure EV.
Avatr very much pitches this vehicle as a sports sedan, showing us lots of footage of it drifting and driving up mountain roads, something I also got to do today, but I'll get to that in a moment. To me, however, there's a fundamental conflict between pitching something as a sports sedan, indeed a sporty anything, and also giving it a steering wheel this shape. Put simply, this shape of steering wheel makes performance driving that much more difficult. Heck, it makes doing U-turns more difficult. Do I believe this car can drift? Yes. Do I believe that it would be a lot easier to drift and probably more enjoyable to drift if it actually had a round wheel? Also yes. But even with this wheel, I still enjoy driving this car. I honestly do. The double wishbone front suspension, HR multi-link, the CDC, the air suspension, which should only be available on higher spec cars. We don't know yet. This is a pre-production vehicle. They haven't announced final pricing or final specs. All of it works really, really well together, honestly. This is a sporty, at least, or you know what? I'll give it the moniker. This is a electric sports sedan, which again makes it even more of a shame that this has a steering wheel this shape, because when we were over on the mountain roads today, I got a glimpse of something very, very nice, something very enjoyable to drive. So I want to give them the credit that they deserve for creating this electric sports sedan, but I also have to take the demerit of this wheel into consideration. This is the sportiest Avatr so far by a wide margin, and that did surprise me. But what doesn't surprise me is the fact that it's also very comfortable. Again, air suspension with adjustable stiffness and height, and it has pretty decent body control as well. I was on the mountain roads earlier today. I was not able to drive that fast, to be honest, due to the, way that they organized the event. We were basically in a big train of cars, but I did get a taste of what it can do, and I noticed that the body control seemed very nice. I find it hard to believe that most people would be getting sick, for example, while riding in the backseat of this thing. Something else I've come to expect from Avatr is the Huawei driver assistance system. Remember, Avatr is actually a joint venture brand between Chang'an, the car maker, Huawei, the tech company, and CATL, or CATL, China's largest battery maker.
Avatr was so confident in the Huawei system that they sent us straight into the thick of morning traffic, where the car performed admirably, if not flawlessly. We've used the same system in suburban Shanghai, and we're very impressed, but doing things like navigating a massive roundabout during rush hour pushed it to its limits and beyond. There were multiple instances where I chose to intervene rather than become a barely mobile obstacle to traffic. Based on my experience with other systems, I have no reason to believe they would have performed any better, but it further illustrates that while you can use these systems in dense urban environments, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should use them.
Complaints, apart from the steering wheel? Well, I feel like the seating position in this car is a little bit too high and a little bit too far forward. No matter how I adjust my seat, even if I lean back farther, I feel like my head is a little too close to the visor up here. It reminds me quite a bit of the Lynk & Co. Z10 or Z10, which had the exact same problem. No word on when exactly the 06 is going to be reaching markets like Europe, but since the 07 SUV is aiming for a launch in 2025 in that market, I imagine that this one will be getting there sometime around the end of 2025 or even the beginning of 2026.